Ladies and gentlemen, there are currently 4 exotic bows in Destiny 2. Whether bows are good or not in Destiny 2 is a debated topic, but me personally, I'm a fan. If you happen to have caught my exotic fusion rifle video, we're gonna run through things in the same format with these exotic bows. And just like that fusion rifle video, the goal of this one isn't to tell you that one bow is superior to the next, because they're all strong in different aspects. Rather, what I'm hoping to do is provide you with enough information wrapped up in a nice little package for you to make an informed decision for yourself. So, each bow's gonna get a super special code name, we're gonna have a quick look at the stats and perks, and then check out some damage and performance in both PvP and PvE. But when we're all said and done, in this video, I will give you my personal ranking list, which is based upon absolutely nothing except my personal preference. But if you'd like to drop your rankings, or just your personal favorite bow in the comments, feel free. And while you're down there, be sure to drop this video a like if you do end up enjoying it, and hit the subscribe button if you'd like to see more Destiny 2 content made by yours truly. The bell icon's also there to turn on notifications so you don't miss an upload on the Ironworker Gaming channel. But let's get things rolling with a look at our first exotic bow. First bow up is Leviathan's Breath, codename the Stagger Machine, and it's definitely packing enough punch to warrant that name. And I decided to kick things off with this one because it's probably the most dissimilar bow of the bunch. This is our only heavy combat bow, and that charge time of 1328 is heavy in its own right. The Stagger Machine's intrinsic trait is Big Game Hunter, giving it the ability to stagger unstoppable champions, no mod required. This is backed up by the exotic perk Leviathan Sigh. When fully drawn, the bolt creates a large concussive blast that knocks back enemy combatants. There is a catalyst available that will increase ammo reserves, and I swear I've been shooting every major target I can find square in the teeth with the Stagger Machine, hoping it would drop. And no dice, as of yet. But this thing really is a monster of a bow, delivering 42,155 points of total damage on a fully drawn crit. This makes it one of the highest damaging single shot weapons in the game. The intrinsic ability to stagger unstoppable champions makes it a great option in higher tier PvE content, where these unstoppables can pose a major issue. But even in baseline content, the ability to stagger nearly everything serves as a great disruption tool while dealing some serious damage. And since this does pack a nice sized Void Blast, on impact it does a real good job of clearing out any trash ads that are in the proximity of your primary target. The high damage and Void Energy also make it a very useful tool in the Gambit boss phase, giving you the ability to quickly dispose of primeval envoys. Plus, this is a guaranteed one-shot on an enemy Guardian. And in the Crucible, the one-shots continue, dealing 343 points of damage to the body and 548 points of damage on a fully drawn crit. This is plenty enough damage to one-shot a roaming super. And if enemies are piled up, there is multi-kill potential here also. There are some flaws though. For PvP, it's an exotic heavy weapon, so you're not going to see a whole lot of uptime from it. Maybe your exotic slot would be better spent elsewhere. Then the draw time, and holy jeez does it take forever to pull that arrow back. And it's a pretty bad feeling when Mr. Crayola comes around the corner and drops a shield in your face mid-draw. In PvE, while the Stagger Machine is a great source of burst damage, that long draw time hurts it in sustained damage, really cutting into its total damage per second capability. All in all though, I do really like Leviathan's Breath. It's a solid bow, and it has honestly not left my inventory since I obtained it. But how about dropping me that catalyst on Destiny? Next up, Wishender, codename I See You. There's probably a pretty good chance that you don't like this bow. It's never really gotten a lot of traction amongst the Destiny community, especially in PvP where it's sitting at 145th in quick play usage. But me, on the other hand, I adore this bow. I swear, every time I pick it up, I fall in love with this bow all over again. Of our 3 primary exotic bows, this is the only one that resides in the kinetic slot. It does have a pretty hefty draw time of 828, but it hits hard and is very accurate. The intrinsic trait is Queen's Wrath, simply stating that when you fully draw the bow, you get wall hacks. Wall hacks. You see people through walls. So, codename I See You makes sense, right? I See You also has the Broadhead perk, where arrows damage a target on entry and exit, and can overpenetrate multiple targets. But we also have anti-taken fletching, allowing this bow to deal bonus damage against taken combatants. Okay, now I'm not going to sit here and try to tell you that this is an amazing PvE bow, but it does hit pretty hard, dealing 11,365 damage on a fully drawn crit and 8,920 damage to the body. And we do have the ability to run through multiple targets with a single arrow if they're all stacked on top of each other. Here again though, we're dealing with a long draw time, and even though we do get bonus damage against taken targets, the taken aren't exactly front and center in the PvE content currently. You know, you just really don't see them all that often right now, outside of Gambit or a few strikes. But in PvP, did I mention that I love this bow? And did I mention that you get wall hacks? Wall hacks for everyone, not just for you hunters using True Sight, and not just for people running a cheating software. Free and legal wall hacks for absolutely everybody. And it's because of this that I really don't care about the draw time, because my bow is almost always drawn. I'm aiming down sights, I'm checking my radar. I'm aiming down sights, I'm checking my radar. If I know exactly when and where an enemy is going to pop into my line of sight, I automatically have the upper hand. This bow is going to total 159 points of damage on a crit, and 102 points of damage to the body. And with a 20% damage buff like my Empowering Rift, we just miss out on a one-shot kill. Which was kinda surprising to me because I very distinctly remember one-shotting people in my Empowering Rift in the past. But either way, drawbacks, this is not an aggressive player's bow. Patience, positioning, and anticipation are all rewarded. The long draw time and low handling can make ICU feel a little bit clunky when playing on the move. And with no catalyst, ICU won't be generating any orbs. But Wish Ender has always been one of my favorite weapons in PvP, and I think it's one that everyone should at least pick up and try out. Next on the list is Trinity Ghoul, aka Chain Lightning on Demand. This is a bow that I always thought was useful in certain situations, but then they gave it a catalyst, and now the thing is absolutely incredible. Let's have a look. Chain Lightning on Demand is an arc flavored bow that is obviously residing in our energy slot. It has a rather quick draw time of 648 and good stats across the board. The intrinsic trait is Split Electron, fires an arrow that splits into 3 when released. Aiming down sights and fully drawing the bow will decrease the spread. The exotic perk is Lightning Rod, where precision kills grant the next arrow chain lightning capabilities. Not good enough for you? No worries, we have the catalyst. Lightning Rod will now trigger on any arc damage final blow, meaning arc abilities, your arc heavy weapon, or just body shots from Chain Lightning on Demand. This gives Chain Lightning on Demand the ability to have Chain Lightning on Demand almost all the time. The single target damage output isn't all that impressive though. We're hitting for 6,297 points of damage on a crit and 4,197 points of damage to the body, provided the full spread of arrows lands. And directly striking an enemy with a charged arrow does give him a little bit of a tickle, but it's nothing substantial. But Chain Lightning on Demand is an absolute ad clearing monster, since there's a very high chance of downing multiple enemy combatants with a single arrow. You can also widen that arrow spread out by firing from the hip and tapping the arrows out of the bow, essentially carpet bombing a much wider area. And if you score 1 kill, you'll be all set to let another batch of charged arrows fly. Plus, we are working with a catalyst, which means orb generation. And with the high multi-kill potential, that means lots of orb generation. In PvP though, Chain Lightning on Demand frustrates me to no end. Now don't get me wrong, I really love being able to chain damage to a secondary target. And it's really cool when you let a wide spread of arrows fly on a whole group of enemy players huddled up on a capture point. But the split damage on the base arrows has me pulling my hair out a lot of the time. We're hitting for 154 points of damage on a crit and 105 points of damage to the body if all 3 arrows land. The Chain Lightning from Chain Lightning on Demand will deliver a jolt of 51 points of damage. At base, this bow can not one-hit kill within an Empowering Rift, but with a 20% damage buff and a charged arrow, this will do the trick. My main problem is that damage being split between the 3 arrows. There's always a chance that you're going to miss out on some damage, especially from longer ranges, which I hate to see. But I gotta say, I've come up against some people who are extremely effective with Chain Lightning on Demand in PvP. My best advice would be to try out Trinity Ghoul and see how it fits on you. Just make sure you got that catalyst. It really makes a world of difference. Last but certainly not least, LeMonarque. Codename, just use this one. I figure that most players, when looking for a bow to use in PvP, they'll just use this one. And for good reason. This bow in the Crucible is exceptional. Taking a look at the stats, I mean, they're all solid, and that draw time of 648 is by no means a hindrance. Just use this one's intrinsic trait is Poison Arrows. Arrows fired quickly after a full draw become poison arrows, precision hits with poison arrows spread poison to nearby enemy targets. And while we don't have a true exotic perk, we do have snapshot sights, a great perk for any bow. Let's take a look at these poison arrows real quick. A crit is going to hit this Colossus for 6,174 points of damage. Then we're going to get 8 poison damage ticks at 491 points of damage apiece. That's a total of 10,102 points of damage. Pretty solid as far as I'm concerned. And we will spread that poison damage to any other targets that happen to be in the area. So in PvE, Just Use This One has some pretty good single target damage, with a touch of crowd control built in. But in PvP, Just Use This One hits all the right notes. We're looking at big, single arrow damage due to the poison effect. But keep in mind, you do need to quickly release an arrow on a full draw. But if you're a hunter using Oath Keepers, disregard that advice. A body shot is going to hit for 125 points of damage, and on a crit you're going to deal 176 points of damage in total. So with a 20% damage buff applied, we are able to secure a 1 crit kill. And I mean, on top of that, we're looking at a bow with good handling, snapshot sights, a respectable draw time, and an aim assist stat that really seems to make landing shots very easy. Plus on a crit, that poison damage will spread to nearby enemy targets, often resulting in an easy cleanup kill. But that poison damage also gives you short-term information about a struck target's movement. But also, Just Use This One shares the intrinsic ability of lightweight frame bows, allowing you to move faster when this bow is equipped. And from a holistic perspective, there's really not much bad I can say about this bow. LeMonarque really is an elite weapon, so if you're torn between which bow you want to use in PvP, just use this one. Well, there you have it, all 4 of our exotic bows, all unique and all potentially useful in a variety of different ways. Each one kind of fills a different role and finds itself in a separate niche. While bows do find themselves in a strange spot currently, I don't think that's to say that the weapon type can't be strong when used properly. It may take a shift in mindset, but I do think that they can be a useful tool on either side of the game. If you're someone who's always shied away from using a bow, I would encourage you to give them a try. Stepping outside of your comfort zone can really unlock new experiences in the game itself. And as promised, my personal rankings. And please don't read too deeply into this. This is not necessarily a solid list of which bow I think is best, sheerly my personal preference. For PvE, I like Leviathan's Breath, Trinity Ghoul, LeMonarque, and then Wishender. In PvP, it's almost a full switch for me. Wishender is my absolute favorite. It's not a bow for everyone, but it fits me well. This is followed very, very closely by LeMonarque, then Leviathan's Breath, and last, Trinity Ghoul. But like I said, that's just me, and I'd love to talk about which bow you like the best down in the comments. If you did enjoy the video though, liking and subscribing are both greatly appreciated. If you'd like to contact me, look for Ironworker814 on Twitter, or just comment down below and I'll be sure to get back to you. If you'd like to catch me live, look for Ironworker814 on Twitch, and maybe on YouTube one of these days real soon. But with all that being said, I'd like to thank you for taking the time out of your day to check out this bow breakdown. You guys are awesome, and I will catch you on the next one.